Okay there, good morning everybody who are watching us on YouTube this morning, and good morning to all of you who are watching us at Talkie Girls Grammar School this morning. It's great to have you all with us. We'll be going on and cooking today this is on the board here, Chilli Con Carne or Chilli Son Carne today. Now, if you're watching us at Talkie Girls Grammar School, can you leave your comments down the side there? That would be fabulous. You can show your cameras when you want to show us the food so we can know how we're all doing there and give a bit of an update. But otherwise, if you guys want to leave your messages down the side there. If you're watching us on YouTube this morning, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you with us today and joining us at school today at our lesson today on how to make chili con or son carne, depending on whether we're putting meat in this one or not this morning. We're also going to be making some taco shells ready for our Fibre February challenge. So if you've not heard about that, search it up on Google. It's a brilliant one to try and get more fibre into our diets. So we're going to be looking at that today, both from wholemeal looks at rices and flours and how we can get more fibre into our diets. Okay, we're just waiting for a few more people to join us. So say good morning if you're watching us this morning. Hello there, Nathaniel. Nice to see you again. Nathaniel's watching us on YouTube this morning. Great to see you. I do remember you. Yep. You're watching from Swindon this morning. So you're joining us down in a sunny Devon this morning. I'm looking out here over the estuary here in a beautiful sunny Devon, looking down over the rolling hills of Devon. It looks like we're all okay here from the school as well. We're getting there, so I think we can begin. So welcome, and great to have you. Say if you're watching us on YouTube, and you can leave your comments underneath, or if you're watching us at Talkie Girls Grammar, then leave your comments down the side. How we're going to begin this lesson is the same as all the other lessons that we do. We're going to start by prepping, getting ourselves prepped, getting our area prepped, getting all the equipment we're going to need and all the ingredients we're going to need so that we can begin to start to cook. And then we'll go through bits and pieces about the food that we're going to eat and how we're going to prepare it. But please feel free to come in with any questions at any point as we go through today together. Right. We're going to be going through the recipe on the board here. If you've not got the recipe, obviously, girls at school, you've got the recipe already. If you're watching us on YouTube, you may have got the recipe already through social media. But don't worry, the ingredients and equipment are below on YouTube. And like I say, we'll be going through them step by step. First one, let's play it safe in the kitchen. Before we play it safe in the kitchen, we need to think about three basic things. All right, that first one is it safe to cook in the kitchen? So make sure it's safe to cook in the kitchen. Have you got permission to cook in the kitchen today? And do you have a grown-up to lend a hand this morning so that they can come in and give you a hand when we need to with a few bits and pieces we're doing today? So hopefully those three things are in place. There's some more disclaimers on the bottom there on YouTube. You can have a quick look down there at the bottom there. So just make sure you're safe to cook, got permission to cook, and you have a grown-up there to lend a hand. Fabulous. Hopefully we're all that ready. What we're going to do now is we're going to get ourselves ready, then equipment, and then ingredients, and we'll go through all of that, and we'll look at different alternatives that you might have in place as well if you haven't got everything. Obviously, we're coming towards the end of our lockdown larder situation, so we'll be back in school in a few weeks' time. But let's go through, say, alternatives that you might have, because we're still cooking from your homes at the moment. I'm still cooking from my home rather than from school. Right, let's get started then. So when we get started, we are the first lesson today for our year 8s today this morning, cooking lesson. So it's great to have you on board with us this morning. So our learning objectives today, we're going to be learning why vegetables are an important part of our diet. We'll be demonstrating how to prepare fruit and vegetables and preparing and combining and shaping ingredients. And you're going to be understanding how vegetables can be used in food preparation and cooking. This relates to your last lesson at school, which is all about looking at different vegetables and classification of vegetables. So we're going to be looking again at that and the benefits of vegetables in our diet and how much we should be having in our diet. All right, let's get on to the starter activity, and that is getting ourselves ready, getting our area ready, getting our equipment and getting our ingredients ready. And we call that something, we call that Hattie, H-A-T-T-I-E. Now, for the eagle-eyed of you there, you may have noticed that we're using a Hodder Education package. Thank you to Hodder Education, who provide the slides and resources for us here at school, or normally at school, here in my kitchen today. So, Hattie, H-A-T-T-I-E. What does it stand for? Anyone know? Who's going to come in first on this? Is it going to be YouTube or is it going to be school? Good morning there from Carnes. Carmenes. Good morning on YouTube. Yep, if you've got any shout outs on YouTube, I'm happy to say those as well while we're going to today's lesson. So Hattie, what does Hattie stand for? What do we need to get ready first of all? Can anyone want to shout in? Who's it going to be? You can read it in the comments there. Yes, I can see a hand up there. Write it in the comments. What do you reckon? Absolutely. We've got the first ones in there. Hair, hands. Yes. The H stands for. Let me go through it. I'm going to show you on the board here. Let me go through. I'm going to quickly show you on the board. We've got all the correct answers coming in, which is brilliant news. We're remembering what we did before. That's it. So if you've got your hands up there, I can see you've got your hands up there in the class. Don't forget, answer your comments rather than unmuting. Just write your comments down the side there in the chat. Okay, so H does indeed stand for hair and hands. Okay, now, and also could be a hat as well. So hair, you need to make sure if you've got long hair, we have got that tied back. Now, it might seem a little bit odd in your own kitchen, but we need to make sure that we are thinking about hygiene, and we do not want what we call contaminants in our food. That means we don't want bits of hair in our food. That would be disgusting. So if you've got long hair, let's make sure that is tied up, or you could wear yourself a little hat on there if you wanted to. Then we've got our hands. Obviously, really important at these current times that we keep our hands washed all the time, but ever so important when we start to cook. Okay, that again, we don't want any contaminants into our food. So we're going to be going and washing our hands, and we'll show you how to do that one. We'll pop over to the sink in a minute just so we can all do that one together. Then we've got A. A is for an apron, so we're going to get some aprons on. Again, it might seem a little bit weird to be wearing your apron inside your own kitchen, but again, we want to make sure that you are prepared to cook properly. So get that apron on. Don't go and dig out an apron from the cupboard and go and get one of those on. All right, the next one, H-A-T. T. Is our tabletop clean? Have you? Here's my clean, very clean tabletop. There we go. Is your tabletop nice and clean? Have you used a sanitizer or a disinfectant or just a soapy spray to clean that down before we start to cook today? So that you've got everything. Again, it's all about stopping these contaminants, these nasties going into our food. We don't want any of those, any nasty bugs or bacteria, as we like to call them. Then we're talking about the nasty bacteria. It's called pathogenic bacteria that might release toxins into our food. So we want to be careful with that. Okay, so tabletop's done. The next bit, T, is for a tray. Really useful bit of device to get the next two things on, which is I for ingredients and E for equipment. So if you've got a tray at hand, they're a very useful piece of device to have ready for you to get ourselves ready. Now, this Hattie is all part of getting ready to cook, and this getting ready to cook in the restaurants and cooking and culinary circles is called mise en place. Mise en place. You may have heard of that when you watch cookery programs. What does it mean? What does mise en place mean? Mise en place. What does it mean? Anyone know their French? Anyone have a guess at what mise en place might mean? If you've watched this before on YouTube, you'll know already. Who's going to come in first? Is it going to be the school or is it going to be YouTube? Who always going to be the quickest off the mark here? Mise en place. Mise en place. Mise en place. What do we think that might be? Give you a minute or so, just have a think, and then put it in the chat. See what you think that might be. Okay, we've got somebody already coming back. That's great in the chat there. So mise en place is from the French, and it does mean to put in place. What we are doing is we're literally putting in place everything that we need before we start to cook. So we're safe to cook and hygienic to cook. Okay, so that is what we're doing in some place. That's what it says on the board up there. That's what we're doing now, getting ourselves ready. So let's start. Let's get it ready. First thing, I'd say I don't have a lot of hair, so I'm not going to worry about tying my hair back today. But if you've got it below the neckline, let's get it tied back. Or like I say, a hat on there would be fab. Let's go and wash our hands, and then we'll go get the aprons on. So let's go over to the kitchen. Let me just move you around so everybody can come around and we'll wash our hands together. Let's move the cameras around there. We're just going to move the camera around there. Let's have a look. In fact, I think we might even take the camera with us. Should we take our camera with us? Yes, we will. Let's go for a little tour over here. Okay, so we're just going to go around all of our hands washed together on that one. So hopefully you can all see me there. There we are. Can you see me there? We can move that down a bit, then you can see. Oops. There we go. Hands washing. We need to make sure our hands are washed. Soapy water. So we got some soap here. There's my soap. I'm going to put my hands. There we go. We've got soap on our hands, and we need to make sure that we are washing our hands properly. Okay, so properly. So rubbing your hands together, obviously, we need to make sure that our hands are rubbed together when we're washing those together. We also need to make sure we're going inside our nails areas. There we go. And don't forget those thumbs properly soaked up, lathered up. Don't forget the back of those hands. That's it. Back of the hands there, between those fingers. That's right. Well done. Don't forget the wrists. Don't forget the wrists. There we go. We're properly lathered up with soap. Fabulous. It's now time to get that washed off. So some hot soapy water. I'm just going to run that hot soapy water, doing exactly the same situation as it was before. So rub the hands together. Then we need to make sure we got the fingers, back of the hands, back between the fingers. There we go. Properly wash, 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 wash. Now you know from what's been going on for the last 12 months how long to wash your hands for. It's been told by everybody, but just as a quick reminder there, we're looking to wash our hands for 20 seconds. So what is 20 seconds? That's happy birthday twice. Happy birthday to you. Birthday to you. Happy birthday. Anyway, happy birthday twice. That is your 20 seconds. That's what we need to be looking for today. And I'm going to just double whammy on this one. I've also got some antibacterial hand gel here, so I'm just going to put some of that on as well, so we've got our hands properly cleaned this morning. There we are. No chance of any nasties in our food this morning. So we've all washed our hands. Hands are washed. We're ready to go, I think. Let's get back to our food. Let's come back over to the kitchen here. Here we go. We're going to come back over and let's move on round. Fabulous. Okay. Welcome back. There we go. Hello, everybody, again. Right, so we're back on here from, and we're back to the workstation. Now, hands properly cleaned. What do we need to make sure now? We need to make sure we got your aprons on. So let me just grab my apron and my whites there. And you need to grab your apron too. So have you got your apron and your whites ready to go? Here I've got mine. All hung up, ready to go. Here we go. There we go. We've got my aprons and my whites. Now, you want to get yours on while I'm talking here as well. I'm just going to roll my sleeve up as well. So we're ready to cook. Make sure we get all of our clothes out of the way before we start to cook this morning. There we are, sleeves rolled up. Now you don't need to wear a chef whites. I'm just going to put mine on this morning. So properly covered up here this morning, doubling up. You can just put your apron on, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure I'm completely covered so there's no chance of any contaminants. Also keeping myself safe. You know, when we're using the oven a bit later, we're going to be using some oven gloves to keep our bodies safe as well. So make sure you've got some of those when we come in to use the ovens, and we're making some tacos a bit later. Now, tacos is quite an interesting one. In fact, the whole food today is really interesting because where it comes from, we're looking at going over towards South America, okay, towards Mexico, towards South America. We're looking at food from the Aztecs today. We're getting some really old school food today when we start to look at this chili con or chili son carne, and we'll tell you what the difference is between chili con and chili son there. Okay, I've got my apron on. That's a Food Teacher Centre apron. For those eagle-eyed again, what you're wondering, what's that on his apron? That's the Association of Food Teachers. Okay, it's a forum of food teachers, all of us food teachers across the country. There we go. Food Teacher Centre. Right, so hopefully you are now ready to go. You've got your apron on as well. You're all ready to yourselves ready. Now we need to get all the other bits and pieces, and that's the ingredients and the equipment. Can you see there the I and the E? So let me go through all those with you in case you hadn't got those, and let's give you a chance just to get all of your ingredients and equipment out in front of you and ready to cook. Okay, so let's go through those one by one. I'm going to get the slides up again on the board here so you can see those and you can see what them. We'll go through each and every one in case you need some alternatives for any of those as well. So here we've got the ingredients up on the board. And like I said, we're going to be going through everything together, so don't need to worry about this, and we'll go back, and if you've forgotten anything, I'll just put those in the messages as well. But you'll find all the ingredients and equipment underneath the YouTube. You'll also find it in Teams if you're watching this at school, but we'll just go through them in case you need some alternatives this morning. First one is we've got onion. So we're looking at vegetables. So it's a recap to the vegetable lesson that we did last lesson. And we did some classifications on vegetables. So you might have some fresh onions. So I've got some fresh onions here. Here's my fresh onion. I've got some. These are British brown onions. Okay, so these are British ones, so they haven't travelled so far. So we're thinking about the environment here, and we're thinking a little bit about the food miles. When we think about something called food provenance, which we'll come on to later. But the bowl, this is a vegetable. And we're going to be looking at the classification of different vegetables, and we'll have a recap on that a bit later. Now, if you haven't got fresh onions, you might have, what have we got over here? Yeah, we might have some frozen onions. Now, that'll be okay in this one. So if you can't get hold of fresh onions at the moment, you've just got frozen, that will suffice. That will be okay. Ideally, we want a fresh one, but we're looking at alternatives. Say we're in a lockdown, still in a lockdown situation. You might not be able to get out. So there we go. Just a quick reminder. Onions. Which classification do we have for onions? Can anyone remember back at school? You might even know from YouTube there. Got a few people there watching us on YouTube. What is the classification? Which family or do we think the onion belongs to? What sort of vegetable is it? What sort of vegetable is this one? Can anyone remember? Do you want to put down in comments? Let's see who's the quickest on this one. Think about where it grows. Think about the shape of it. That might give you an idea of the family that this belongs to, the classification of this particular vegetable. Oh, the shape. Now this shape is very similar to something I might have hanging from the ceiling. It's fairly light vegetable. Okay, we got it. It's a bulb. Okay, light vegetable. Bad joke. That's right. Bulb. This is a bulb. So onion. Now, along with that one, so you should get this one. We have got some garlic, and again, you can either be using fresh garlic. So we've got some fresh garlic there, which we're going to use today. But again, you might be knocked down in a lot of situations. So if you haven't got fresh garlic, you might be using some frozen garlic. So frozen garlic we can put into it. If you can't think of alternatives that we can use for this one, you could. If you wanted to, you could also use some instead. Another alternative might be some garlic powder. So you might use some garlic powder in that one. We're going to try and go with the fresh ones today. Okay, we should know this one from the last one. It's a vegetable classification again. Think of the shape. What sort of vegetable is this? What sort of vegetable is it? What is it? Is it root vegetable? Is it a seeded vegetable? What sort of vegetable is this one? Come on, you know this one. Gonna give you a minute on that one. Have a think. Tap it in there in the chat. Yes, I can see people tapping in. It's the same as the onion. It's the same family. We're talking bulbs. These are vegetables that are bulbs here. Here we go. So both bulbs, but we're not using the whole of that one. We're only going to be using a little bit of clove. Now that's a segment, like an orange segment that's inside there, but it's a segment that's inside there. You probably find there's about 12 segments inside there, and I'll show you how to get those out. So you probably need to say one or two of those ones, but we're using some garlic. Okay, peppers. Oh, big part of this chili con carne. Well, debatable when you go historically, but certainly from our point of view, is these things. We are looking at peppers, some fresh peppers. Here we go. We've got 3 different colors here. Which one are we going to use? Now, that's a very big debate as well, because they've all got different things in them. We're going to talk about those in a little bit better. I would always go with the red one. And I'll explain why I will be going with the red one a little bit later. And that's to do with the nutrients that are inside this one. In fact, they're all good for nutrients. We'll talk about the nutrients that are in these ones a little bit later. But this one in particular, the red color one, is very, very good. We'll talk about why that's so good for you. But peppers, and again, we can go with some frozen ones. We've got some packet ones. If you haven't got those, we can go with frozen ones. But we're going to be going with peppers today as well. All right, mince. Now, again, this is a controversial one. Now, this is where we get the chili con or chili son carne. Chili con or chili son. Now, what does it mean? Okay, so chili son carne, chili con carne, comes from originally, we're talking South American, Portuguese word. Okay, now we're looking with or without meat. Okay, the carne, the chili is obviously the hotness of it, and we're looking at the carne being the meat side of things. So has it got meat or no meat? We're actually going to do a meat-free one here. So we're actually going to do chili son carne. That means from the Portuguese without. But you could do it chili con carne, which would be more traditional cuisine of the South America. Okay, so with the meat. So you could have either. We've got some here. You can have some beef. We've got some lean steak mince beef here. Always try and go with the leanest possible, the lowest fat for your nutritional side of things. So we've got some lean mince here. You could be using lean steak mince, lean meat mince. What we're going to be using today in ours, we're going to be using, because as a nod to Veganuary, I know it's February now, but as a nod to that, and also because we want to try eating more plant-based food. So this is a plant-based, meat-free mince is what we're going to be using today in our chili son carne, not con, but son, without meat. The government says in the UK we should be eating more plant-based and less meat, so we are going to be going with that recommendation as well for you as well. So we're going to be cooking with it, and it's just as nutritious as that. In fact, it's more. So why is it more so? Well, when we're looking at meat-free, and I eat meat and non-meat, both sides of things. But when we're looking at meat-free, we're actually looking at these plant-based proteins can actually have more protein in them than a steak protein, which is always an odd one. People think, oh, I need meat. No. If you think of a mushroom, ounce for ounce, a mushroom has actually got probably more, more protein in it than a steak has got in it. So don't need to worry about your protein content. Flavor-wise, I mean, I like meat and I like non-meat. But we're going to go with the government's nutritional guidelines, where we should be eating less meat and more plant-based protein. So that's what we're going to be doing today with our meat-free plant-based mince. So there we are, difference between con and son carne, but we'll go with what you've got. It could be fresh, it could be frozen. So we're looking at different alternatives for you today. That is up to you. Okay. Right, let's move on then from mince to kidney beans. Now, kidney beans, beans. And we're doing in South America. There are so many exciting beans. And you can buy lots of different types. So we've got some like taco beans here. They're sold as taco beans, and these ones have got lots of different beans in them. They've got red kidney beans in them, which is what we advise for this one. We've said on there kidney beans. So this has got kidney beans in it, but this has got some other exciting beans in. This one's got pinto beans, cannelloni beans, haricot beans, black-eyed beans, lots of different, and these are actually taco beans. So we're going to be probably using, in fact we've been using some of these mixed beans, I think. So we have got some actual black beans, some whole black beans in there, which are brilliant as well for you. So we've got lots of different types of beans and high source of protein of beans as well, keeping that high protein there. We've actually got some Mexican style beans. Here we are, Mexican style beans. I think we're probably going to use these ones. So this is kidney beans with black turtle beans, pinto beans and haricot beans. So we've got some actual Mexican style mix here. So kidney beans ideally 400 grams, or if you can find some more specific mixed beans, then brilliant. Then you're getting more variety into it. And we're actually going to use a Mexican style today. I'm going to use this one because, like I said, we're using what we've got at home, and the kidney beans didn't arrive today. So we've got a selection of other beans that we can use from the Mexican, the taco, the black beans, but we're going to use a mixture of kidney beans and black beans in here with the pinto beans as well. And that's going to be the beans that we're going to be using today. So 400 grams of the beans that you've got. That's all very controversial on the traditional side, but the beans makes good for the chili here. Nice mixed beans. We're going to for chopped tomatoes. Well, that's quite simple. We're just looking for some basic chopped tomatoes to go into this one. So we've got some basic chopped tomatoes, but if you haven't got chopped tomatoes, fresh tomatoes chopped up, de-seeded, blanched, and taking the skin off those would work really, really nicely. You might be able to have that. You could replace that with like a passata if you have got a passata, which is already cooked up, mashed up beans, not as chunky. And I mean, we could alternatively, if you didn't have that, you could use a tomato puree, and you could water that down and mix that into a tomato base for this one otherwise. So lots of different options available depending on what you've got at home, but ideally chopped tomatoes on that one. Coriander, right, so we've got some coriander. Let's get some coriander. Now we have got, we're going to be using some ground coriander this morning, but if you haven't got ground coriander, you might even have fresh coriander. That would be beautiful. If you've got some fresh coriander growing at home, grab some of that. They're far more flavoursome, but just we're going to use some store couple essentials. So some ground coriander there would be fab. So if you've got some of that, that would be great. I mean, you might have some actual coriander seeds which you could crush up. If you wanted to, if you haven't got the coriander at home. But we're going to go with some ground coriander for you today. So we're going to be using just a little ground coriander in there this morning. In with the ground coriander, we're going to use some ground cumin. So let's have a look at this. So the ground cumin, there we go, some ground cumin there. Can you see that one on there? ground cumin. We're going to be using some of that. And again, if you haven't got that, what could you do? You might have in the cupboard some cumin seeds. So you might have some cumin seeds, and you could crush those ones up and put those ones in if you wished instead. So that might be an alternative there. Chilies. Oh, chili. Now, we have got some fresh chilies, which we're growing, which will be fab. Let me show you what they look like for a chili con carne. Here we go. We're going to just pick some of these. Oh. Here we go. Some fresh. Oh, there we go. Hopefully you can see me there. Oops, there we go. Don't know what happened there. Off there. Let me put that one back on for you. Oh, the projector. Let me just put the projector back on for you. Sorry about that, everybody. Let's go back to it. Oh, it's whirring back into action there again. Okay. Don't know quite what happened there with the projector, but we'll get back to it. Don't worry. There we go. Best laid plans and all that. Ingredients. So like I said, I have got some fresh chili. Now, this is a teeny tiny chili and a very hot chili. So I'm just going to say a few little precautions here. And like I say, hopefully you've got your grown-up there nearby you when you're doing this one with our chilies. Now, chilies, very, very hot, okay? And they can burn, okay, if you get this towards your eyes or your face or towards, very, very important when handling raw, fresh chilies like this, that we properly wash our hands afterwards, and anything that we've touched afterwards. So once we've cut it up, okay, you've handled this, or your nose or any sensitive part, that's going to burn. So please be careful with fresh chilies. So you might be using a fresh chili, but I thought since we're using chili con carne, we'll get some of these. We've got growing over there on the kitchen side, so we've got some growing. So I thought we'd actually use that one. Now, alternatives. So you might have some crushed chilies. In fact, we will put a little bit of that in there. We've got some crushed chilies. Can you see those ones in there? That's a medium heat on this one. You won't be using a great deal of it anyway. If you can see there, chili size, it says 1 to 3 teaspoons, depending on how hot you like it. This one is our extra flaming hot chilies. So like I say, they go up in temperature and you get some really, really hot ones. What happens if you do eat a really hot one? How are you going to cool yourselves down? A little bit of milk. There we go, or a dairy-free alternative to a milk will cool your mouth down afterwards. But just please be careful with chilies; they can be very hot. Okay, especially like I say, our fresh chili that we'll be using today. We'll be chopping that one up, and I'll be be very, very careful to wash your hands afterwards. Okay, moving forward for the rest of the ingredients, let's go with this one. Oh, chocolate. We got chocolate. Okay, what sort of chocolate have we got? Now, again, we need to be thinking about everybody here. So I've actually got here some dark chocolate. And I'm using 2 or 3 blocks. That's not 2 or 3 packets of chocolate. That's 2 or 3 blocks of chocolate. Okay. Someone's like, blocks of chocolate? Is that like a whole packet? That's a lot of chocolate going into there. And as with this one, this is actually a dairy-free. This is a dairy-free chocolate. This one here I'm using today. I'm using a particular dairy-free. And so you could use that one. You can see that one on the board there. There we go. So this is dairy-free, sugar-free, palm oil-free, gluten-free, soya-free chocolate. Okay. So we're really ticking all the boxes with our chocolate today with this particular chocolate. And so if you've got any chocolate left over from Christmas, great way up to using it. Now, chocolate in food. What is he talking about? This is a savoury food, and we're putting chocolate in. Has he gone crazy? Trust me on this one. It gives a really great depth to flavour, and it gives like a silky smoothness to it as well. So if you're getting that one, I'm using this one. I say this is dairy-free, sugar-free, palm oil-free, absolutely everything else free, soya-free, chocolate. Okay, and we're using a dark one. Percentage-wise, this one is a 73% dark chocolate. I think dark chocolate is better. If you haven't got dark chocolate, then you could use milk chocolate, but I think dark chocolate gives you a much greater depth of flavour, and it works really nicely with the mince as well. All right. Now, taco shells, flour. So we've got some plain flour here. There we go, some plain flour, which we're going to be using with it today. But we did say we were just talking about wholemeal fibre. We were talking about fibre February. Today, this week, the month is called Fibre February. So to get some more fibre into it, you could use some wholemeal to make your tacos. More fibre in this one. So we're going to have a go at making some wholemeal ones because we want to try and go for the Fibre February challenge. Okay, so we're going to go for more fibre in there. And when we serve this, we're going to serve this with rice. Now we can serve this with some white long grain rice, which is this one, or we could serve it with some added fibre. Better for you. More fibre. Brown rice, okay? You might think, whoa, brown rice, what's he talking about? Honestly, loads better for you. Okay, so we got some brown rice. We're going to be going with brown rice. Takes longer to cook. Yeah, it does. But we're going to be using some brown or wholemeal rice. We're going to use, but you could use white if you wanted to. White's with this one as well. So, but we prefer brown. We're going to be going with a bit of brown on that one. So, more fibre. And this month is Fibre February, and you can take the Fibre February challenge, which is all about getting more fibre in our diet, which again is another government recommendation for all of us here in the UK. Right. We have done there. Oh no, just a few other bits: salt, baking powder, butter, or buttery fat to go into our tacos. Now, tacos like a bread, we're going to be using and traditionally we make with the maize flour. We're going to be using the wheat flour to make ours. Traditionally, they might be soft. If you're thinking about American ones, they tend to be hard. We're going to have a go at making some hard ones to go with our chili as well. Fabulous. Look at all that time we spent going through that. Let's just now go on to the equipment that you're going to need today. Some basic equipment. We'll kind of shoot through this because I really want to get on with some cooking in a moment. So we'll go make sure you've got all this equipment sat out and ready for you. Here we go. I'm just going to put that up on the board for you. Here we go. Equipment wise, okay, so here is the equipment you're going to need today. Some baking trays and parchment paper. We need some parchment paper for rolling out our breads with. You're going to need some saucepans that are already over there at the kitchen. You might notice a little bit earlier. Butter knife. Yeah, we're going to need some butter knives today. We're going to need some sharp knives. So we got some sharp knives today. So a paring knife would be really good. Sharp knives there. We're going to be using some mixing bowls. We've got lots of different mixing bowls here. So we're going to be using those today. You're going to be using some wooden spoons. There we go. Wooden spoons. There we go. Wooden spoon. We're using wooden spoons today. We're going to be using some tablespoons, big ones. We're going to be using some teaspoons, little ones. We're going to be using some chopping board, which I've already showed you earlier. We're going to be using some kitchen scales to measure out what we're doing. Scales here. We're going to be using some measuring jug. Measuring jug is just over there. We'll go and get that one in a minute. Okay, so that is what we need to get ready. Well, I think we've now got ourselves, our ingredients, and our equipment. And hopefully you're all ready to begin to start to cook this morning. Always takes a little bit of time, but this is something we really go over at GCSE. Once you've got everything in place, you can work in a very methodical way and you can go through step by step and you can create some amazing food. It's always good to get those preparation in place before we start to cook. Okay, so here is our recipe. I'm just going to turn the lights down a little bit over there so you can see as we go through the recipe step by step together. And I'm going to keep that on the board and I'm going to talk it through with you as well as we go. So these are our recipe cards for today. Let me just switch that light down so you can see. There we go. Chilli Con or son carne. Here we go. A lovely Mexican themed, South American themed foods that we're going to be making up today. First thing we need to do is we're going to be boiling a saucepan with water and bringing that to the boil. So we'll go over and do that one in a moment. But what we're going to do is actually boil a kettle, put the water in. Why are we doing this one? What was this one for? This is going to be for our rice. So although this is the first step, we'll then do that in a minute. We'll just measure all the ingredients out. We need to mix those together before we go over. So we're going to get some rice on the go over there. And we're going to be getting that to cook. So boiling water on the go so we can cook our rice. Now, thing with the rice, obviously remember to wash that through before you begin to boil it. It's always good to just give that quick once through with the wash through. So we're going to wash it through. We're going to use one of these things. You can say Colander. And that's a very large sieve. So we'll wash through all of our wonderful rice first. Then we'll put it into the boiling water. How much rice? Well, normally about 70, 75 grams per person is a good base for that one. So so let's we'll get that one measured out, I think. So we'll start by that one, ready for our boiling water. So we're going to be using some wholemeal. We're going to use some brown rice, which is better for you. It's got more fibre in it, and we should be entering the February Fibre Challenge. Okay, we'll talk about that one a bit more in a bit later. So it's a great challenge. Have a Google it, find out. Hashtag Fibre February Challenge. February February Challenge. That's the one. So I'll post a link up for that, so you got some more info about that one as well. So here we go. Our brown rice. We're doing 75 grams per person. I think I'm going to do this enough for a couple of people here. So we're going to be weighing that one out, ready to go over to our boiling water in a moment. So if you've got your scales here, what is 75 grams? And you might not have scales at home, so I'll just measure that out with you so you know how many of the large spoons, that's the tablespoons, we need for our rice there. Okay, so here's my rice, and let's see how many spoonfuls is 75 grams. So you know how many spoonfuls of the rice you want to be doing per person. Okay, so we've got, I'm going to use another one there, this guy here. We'll keep that larger one for later. If you've got any questions as we're going along, please just ask. There we go. So 1 spoonful at 10 grams. 2 spoonfuls. 3 spoonfuls. 4. Slightly more, up to 49 already. 5, 6, not quite 75, 7. There we go. So that's 7, and that is your 75 grams. That was 17, 75 grams is what we normally say for one person. That's one portion. I'm going to do this for a couple of people. There's enough, this chili con carne for about 3 or 4 people. So I'm going to make out some more. So that's 7 spoonfuls of doing that. I'm going to say do it for 4 people. There's 4 people in our family. So I'm going to just measure that one out. I'm going to pour that one out. So I've got enough rice here for 4 people. I'm using a brown rice, like I say, with more fibre for Fibre February. And I'm just going to measure all of that one out now. There we go. We've got enough rice for everybody in the family because they're going to have this one for lunch today. Okay, that's my rice for everybody measured out, and I've got that. I'm going to go and wash that one out when we go to the sink, and then we'll put that in boiling water over there. That's our first ingredient ready, sorted out. We are going to be using our rice to go with our chili con carne. And chili con carne, or chili son carne as we're making it, because it's without the meat. When you're doing this one, it serves really nicely with tacos or rice. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to have the rice ready. We're going to have the tacos ready to serve it with. It'll be beautiful. Okay, so the next thing is we're going to start to get the sauce that's going to go in. It's a reduction sauce. So what does that mean? Well, it means we're going to be reducing the sauce down by evaporating off those waters, which is going to give it some more concentrated sauce. So it's almost like a stew. That we're going to be making this, and traditionally it would be a stew. So that's what we're going to be making now. Let's work on all those ingredients here. So I've got my bowl, a nice empty bowl, ready to put all of our stew or the chili ingredients into. Lots of our different vegetables. And remember, we're talking about vegetables to link to last lesson. The first vegetable we are going to be using is going to be the onion. Okay. Now I am going to remind you how to chop the onion, so that you do not cry. We do not want people crying, okay? So I'm going to show you how to do it. Now, how are you going to chop this one so you don't cry? Well, firstly, let's think about the knives we're going to be using, and then we'll think about how we're going to chop, and then I'm going to show you how to do it without crying. So knives we could use. We're going to be using a sharp knife. Now, it's got a sharp blade on one side, and it's got a blunt side on the other. And this is what we call a paring knife. It's a small one. You can get them in lots of different sizes, bigger ones. You can go right up to chef's knives. But these are very sharp knives. So you need to make sure that you've got some things together before you start to use them. That's the ABC I use for using knives. A is for the actions with a knife. Okay, so let's think about this one. You only carry one knife around at any one point when it's a sharp one like this, and you carry it so the point is to the floor and the blade is behind you, and you're walking a bit like a soldier. Okay, so that if it's to fall, it's not going to go into your foot, it's not going to go into some, it's going to be down. We don't hold knives like that when we're walking, we don't hold knives like that when we're walking, because if you fall, it's going to cause you an injury. And there are some inherent risks when you're cooking, using some of the things that we do with a cooker or knives, so just be careful. So the actions are, we carry a knife down like that, we carry one knife to our work area, we keep it to that work area. When we're not using it in our work area, we put it at the back of our work area. We don't keep it on the side where it can fall off onto us. Okay, so we put it at the very back of where we're working when we're not using it. So again, it's not going to fall, it's not going to hurt you, okay, when you're not using it. When you finish using your knife, can you make sure that you put it, when you're cleaning it up, you do not put it rather into the washing up bowl. You want to keep hold of it and maybe use a brush to clean it. Don't be tempted to use a dishcloth, because if you clean it with a dishcloth, you might cut your hands. So you use a brush away from yourself, brush all the debris off it, in some hot soapy water, and then again put it at the very back of where your draining area might be or your draining board might be. Don't be tempted to use a tea towel to clean it and dry it off afterwards, because again you might hurt yourself. So these are all the actions to think of with a knife. A for action, okay, and choosing the right knife. So today we're using a paring knife, which is a small sharp knife. It's got a straight sharp edge, and it hasn't got a bumpy sharp edge. Bumpy sharp edge, what we call serrated edges. They're really good for going into things. They've got a hard skin or a hard outside, like a bread. Maybe even you can get some tomato ones with serrated edges. We're using a straight edge to go into our oven. And it's always good to have knives sharp as you possibly can. So if you've got a knife sharpener at home, make sure that they are sharp. They're much safer the sharper they are. Seems odd. What is he saying? Sharp knives are safe knives? Yeah, trust me, sharp knives are safe knives because they go through very quickly and easily, and they do what they're meant to do. They're not sliding around all over the place. So they are sharper knife, the better. Now, when we're talking about cutting, we need to cut on a board, a chopping board, not on your work surface where it's going to slide all over the place, but on a board, okay, where it's not going to go very far and your board's not going to move too far. If your board is moving, a little life hack here for a little top tip, put a damp piece of kitchen roll underneath it and it'll stop that board from moving. Okay, so the life hack, there we go, for you for this one. Right, the big life hack though is how to cut the onion without crying, and that's what I'm going to show you. Now this is down to how we cut, so we need to think of the actions that we cut with. The first thing, if a vegetable isn't long and thin, as this isn't, this is round, we need to think about the first cut, and that's the B. A, B. Now I put my knife at the end of my work area, not at the front, but now I'm on to B for my cuts. B stands for this. Now, this is a shape I'm making with my hand, which my knife will go through the center. I'm making a gap between my thumb and my forefinger, which my knife's going to go through. And this B stands for, anyone at home, what do we think B stands for when we're looking at how we cut safely? Oh, who's going to be quickest off the mark here? It's always keen to see, is it going to be YouTube? Is it going to be Talkie Girls Grammar School? It is bridge. Absolutely. Well done. It's going to be a bridge. So this is the first, we got an A for action, B for bridge, and we're going to be putting our vegetable between the bridge and we're going to be cutting down through the middle like that. Fabulous. We've got lots of you coming up with the idea that is actually a B for bridge. Well done for you. So the next cut we're going to do, A, B, C, will be this one. I'm going to put my thumb right back. You'll do this at home now. Thumb right back, fingers over the top, and I'm making another shape. And this is a it's a C. What is it? What is it? Anyone? Who's going to be fastest? YouTube or school? Who's going to be quickest off the mark with this one? It is. I'm making a fool of myself. It's a claw. Absolutely. So A, B, C. So we've got A is the action with our knives. B is how we first cut, which is bridge. C is the next cut, claw. Okay, so we're now got A, B, C are cutting safely. And this is how we're going to cut the little old onion safely. So a quick reminder on this one. The bit that's going to make you cry is in the base of the onion, okay? It's in the foot of the onion down here, the roots of the onion here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do very limited cutting around the base of this one, okay? But we do need to for the first cut. So here we go. The first cut, let me move the cameras down so you can see exactly what I'm doing on the board here. So you can see my board here. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Move all that to the side so you can see what we're doing. I'm going to move all that chocolate to the side as well. Okay, and let's move this camera down as well so you can see what's going on here. Okay, So here we have our board. Let me just zoom in so you can see that one as well. Saucepans. Okay. There we go. Okay. So we've got my onion, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to be getting our knife safely. We're going to be going a bridge. So I'm putting my thumb and forefinger around the outside here, form the bridge shape. I'm going to put my knife through the middle, and I'm going to cut down all the way to the bottom. Okay, so just literally straight down to the bottom. Put that back to the back of my board area. That's going to cut my onion in half. Now I need to make sure I don't expose the base of my onion, the foot of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very quickly put that flat down the board, just like that. Okay, so my onion is cut directly in half with a bridge. Very good, very good. Next, we need to do the next thing, which is a claw. So thumb right back, fingers over the top. And we're going to take the tops of our onion, not the bottoms, okay, not the base. We're going to do the very tops of our onion. So with a claw, thumbs right back, fingers over the top, I'm just going to slice the very tops of our onions off. Going to remove those, take those away, and the same with the other one. So what I'm going to do, thumb over down, fingers over the top, let's slice just the very top of it. Some of the more of the paper comes off, don't worry about that. There we go. Hopefully you're doing this at the same time as me. Now, next thing we need to do is we need to put, we've done the A, B, and C, so we can put our knives down. We can use our fingers for the next bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to get our fingers just under the very edge, keeping the onion flat on the board as much as you can. We're going to remove the skin back, okay, all that papery part, all the papery part of the skin. If you take a bit of the onion with you, that's fine. And we're just going to remove it back. I'm just going to pull it back. So you can see, I'll move my fingers out of the way so you can see. I'm just going to pull it back. I'm not going to take it right off the bottom. If it comes off the bottom, that's fine, because I don't want to break into the bottom bit where the root is, because if I do that, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Who's going to be quickest off the mark? I'll do the same on the other side while you're writing that in there. If I take it off the bottom, if I start disturbing the base of the onion, I'm going to do what? Oh, I'm going to do what? You can do this with an emoji if you want. That's it. That's it. I'm going to cry. So if you take a bit of the onion with you, that's fine. Try and keep as much of the onion at the base. And I'm just going to try and peel back. You can see what I'm doing there? Peeling back the skin, but I don't want to really disturb too much of the base. There we go. So I peel back the onion. Fabulous. And the great thing is with the next part is that the onion will naturally, we're going to go with nature on this one. It's going to show you the next cutting line. So if I just hold that up to the camera there, hopefully you can see that there is some lines that run down the onion. Okay, naturally the onion's got that. And that's going to be the next cutting line we're going to use. Okay, so they can just see that one on the camera there. Just lines running down. So we're going to use that one for our next cut. So got my knife in a safe place. So let's get on with the next cut. It's not long and thin yet. So we're going to go with the A, B, C. So after, the first one we're going to do is a bridge. Move that to one side for the moment, and we'll come back to that for you. So here we have our bridge, and what we're going to do is the thumb and forefinger around the outside, and we're going to cut through. Now, form a bridge. Now, I've got to say, if you're feeling a bit unsure about doing bridges, you can always use one of these things. This is a fork, but I like to think of it as a bridge and a claw. This has got 3 bridges in, 1, 2, 3, and you could actually put that into your vegetables and then use your knife to cut through the middle there. Oh, life hacks, we like these. To cut through, and that will give you bridges. Then, when you want to use it as a claw, if you cut the other way, you've got that as a claw. So if you're a bit worried about getting fingers and thumbs close to the food, you could always use that fork, or like I just call it a bridge and a claw, to do it. So here we go. I'm going to use the natural lines. I'm not going to cut all the way to the bottom. You'll notice that I'm going to cut down about 3/4 of the way down. So I'm not going right to the very end there. You see, I've just drawn a line there. I'm not going to go to that very end. So I'm cutting down about 3/4 of the way, because I don't want to cut all the way to the base, because what's at the base? What could be released at the base? All those chemicals that are going to make me react with the air, oxidize with the air, and they're going to make me do what? Oh, they're going to form, they're going to form an irritant that's going to make my eyes cry. Yes. So I've done that. I've gone down about 3/4 that way. So with my bridge, I'm now going to put my thumb inside, fingers over the top, and I'm going to form a claw, and I'm going to cut the other way. Remember, if I wanted to, I could use a fork and do it like that, and use the fork as my claw, but I'm going to use my fingers and thumbs. And I'm just going to slice back there the other way. Again, with noughts and crosses. I'm not going to go all the way to the base because that'll make me... Oh, we've got lots of emojis coming up, have we? That'll make me do what? That'll make me do what? Cry. Okay. So this base now I'm going to put straight into the bin or composting bin. So if you've got a composting bin, brilliant for that. If you've got some way of getting rid of that one, you could always put it in some water and try and grow new onions. There's nothing like fresh vegetables. Right, I'm going to just put that one away for a minute into my composting bin. I'm going to do exactly the same with the other one. Just clean down the work surface, move that to the side so you can see what we're doing here. And, you know, onions are great starting for sauces. There's lots of different parts of the country, different parts of the world start sauces in different ways, but a lot of them start with the onion and garlic as a base. Right. Bridge first, following the line, not going all the way to the bottom because that'll make me cry. So I'm going down about 3/4 of the way. Okay. Then after my bridge, thumbs right back. Fingers. I always remember the thumbs right back. If I didn't have my thumbs right back and I started chopping bow, I ended up chopping my thumb off. So thumbs right back, fingers over the top, and slicing back. And we know what sort of cut this is because we're cutting this into a 6-sided cuboids. Let's get rid of those. These 6-sided cuboids, and we pull one of them up so you can have a look. Here we go. You can see that one onto the camera. 6-sided cuboid, otherwise known as a... If you had dots on it and used it for a game, it would be a dots on it, shake it around, throw it on the floor. So you can move forward to the next space in your game. It's a dice cut. Yeah, and depending on when you get to GCSE, we talk about different sorts of cuts for our dice. And we talk about julienne, macédoine cuts, and that depends on how big your dice are. So you've got really tiny dice, and you've got some larger dice. So you can have, say, macédoine, brunoise, different types of whether they're large or small. Right, we've done the onion. Let's go on to the next of our bulbs, and we're talking about vegetables, and we're going to be using a garlic to go into this one. So onion and garlic. So with this one, I did say that there was going to be lots of cloves in here, the segments inside we're going to use. So I'm just going to crush that, and you can do it on the work surface if you want to. You could use your fork again to crush it if you want to. And we're just going to crush that garlic. And when you crush the top of it, you might hear this. Listen to this. You hear that? So I've just crushed it, and when you crush it, that will reveal on the inside there these segments. So these are the segments we're going to use, and there is my garlic clove or segment. How many do you need to use? I like to use, I'm going to use 2, but I've said for 1 will be fine with this one. So how do we cut these ones? Well, let's just show you on the board here. I'm just going to move the cameras down so you can see what we're doing there. There we go. You can see that on the board there. So what we're going to do with this one, we are just going to chop this one up teeny tiny small. So we're going to use the clove. We're going to use a tiny claw with this one. We're going to claw both ends, top and tail it. And then we can remove the paper. So we're going to remove the paper from this one. The same as we did for the onion, just tops and tailed it. I'm not going to cry with this one, unless you're a vampire. You might do, but I don't think there's many vampires out there. Okay, so I'm going to take this one back, take all the paper off there. There we go, same as we did with the onion. Pull that all back. Fabulous. And say this is our bulb, same as the onion, same family as the onion there. We're talking about vegetables. And when thinking about vegetables, we need to be thinking about how many of those we need to be having a day. Fruit and vegetables, how much of those are we having a day? It is, can we remember? Fruit and vegetables. UK government says we should have how much fruit and vegetables a day? See, it's going to be quickest off the mark on that one. Yeah, it's 5 a day. It's 5 a day. 5 fruit and vegetables a day. That equates to how much? Well, it's about 80 grams, is it? Or a handful is an easy way to remind that one. Remember that one? Right, so bridge and claw. I'm going to bridge this one, tiny little bridges. And then we're going to claw it the other way. Now, if you're a bit worried about this one, you can always use a cheese grater with this one, just to get it really fine. It is tiny, tiny small. There we go. Now, the other thing to remember with a lot of grown-ups to get this is we need to actually release some of the oil. So I always just like to use the back of that fork, it's gone everywhere there, just to squash that down a little bit to release some of that. You could use a garlic. There we go. Garlic, you might have a little garlic press or a garlic crusher. And I'm just going to use a knife and a fork. Okay, there's my garlic, there's my onion, ready to go for my dish. Okay, we got onion, we got garlic. Can you remember the next vegetable? Onion, garlic. What vegetable are we going to be using next? We use another vegetable. And we did say we need 5 fruit and vegetables a day. And bizarrely enough, of those 5 fruit and vegetables a day, the government does say that you should be going with 3 of the vegetables and 2 of the fruit. So we're going to go heavy on the vegetables. Then we've got different types of vegetable peppers. Here's what we're looking at now. We've got red, we've got green, we've got a bright yellow one here as well. Lots of eat the rainbow, as they say. Always good to eat the rainbow when it comes to fruit and vegetables. Now, why would I be going with the red one over, say, the green one, or indeed over the yellow one? We say we've got 3 different types here, 3 different colours rather, same pepper, but 3 different colours. Why would I be going with the red one more? Well, these are really good. Vegetables are really, really good. Really good sources of vitamin B, vitamin C, what we call water-soluble vitamins, which you find out more about at GCSE. But these are great sources of vitamin B and vitamin C. But this one, the red one, contains twice as much vitamin C as the green one does. Twice as much. So we're going to go with the red one. It contains also vitamin A, and this contains 6 times the amount of vitamin A than the green one does. 6 times the amount of vitamin A. You can see why I'd like to go with the red one more. So given the choice, always tend to go with the red ones. Lots more what we call micronutrients. That's vitamins. You get vitamins and minerals and micronutrients in tiny, tiny amounts in your diet, but do amazingly good job. So what do these different vitamins do? Well, vitamin C is great for overall body immunity. Vitamin B, this B6 we're looking for in this, lots of different types of vitamin Bs, but B6, really good for energy release in our body. And then you've got the vitamin A, which we talked to. This was 6 times the vitamin A than a green pepper. Vitamin A, really good for things such as your eyesight. So different things that the body is good for this. So red peppers, go with the red peppers if you can. Right, let's do this one. We said that we need to chop up the red peppers, cut and dice 1 pepper. So here's my pepper. How are we going to do this one? Right, what I like to do is I just like to put my thumbs right in there. You've got a bit of onion there. Put my thumbs right in, and I just squash that in. You hear that? Pop. And what's happened there is it's popped, and I'm now going to just put my thumb in. So you see the top's popped in now. I'm going to put my thumb in, and I'm going to pull apart. I literally rip it apart. Okay, so I've ripped that one apart. That seedy part inside we can get rid of, put that in a compost bin. Okay, and we are just going to pull out the pithy parts. That's the white pithy parts. We're just going to rip those out as well. Any seeds that are in there, you can get rid of those as well. I'll put those into my compost bin. Okay, so now I've got pith parts taken out, and I'm ready to chop this pepper up. Same with the other half. So again, if you've got any pith in there, just pull that one out. Any seeds in there, just rip those ones out. Okay, so I've now got 2 halves of de-seeded pepper ready to chop up. I'm going to dice this one up. Are these long and thin? Nah, of course they're not. So we're going to be cutting them up so long and thin. So we're going to need a bridge and a claw for these ones to get these ones long and thin. Now, top tip here, cut into the flesh, not the skin. The skin is all shiny and shiny. That would be okay if you had a serrated knife. Do you remember we talked about different types of knife? When it's got a tougher skin or a shiny skin like that, a serrated tomato knife would be good. But because we're using a sharp knife, we're going to use the flesh. We're going to cut into the flesh. We're going to use our paring knife, sharp paring knife, and that's much easier. So lay your pepper onto your board with the flesh side up. I'm going to cut into the flesh. It'll be much, much easier, quicker to cut into, and your knife is not going to slide around all over the place. Okay, so let me just show you on the board. Let me just come down. So we have got our, there we go. So we've got our onion and garlic. I'm just going to move our onion and garlic to the side a moment now. Clean my board down. Move all that to the side. And here we have our peppers. So what we're going to do now is we are just going to go into our bridge and claw. And we're going to be making sure that we've got that one together. Okay, so bridge and claw. So first one, bridge. We're going to go down the length and we're going to cut this into long lengths. Okay, so I'm just going to be cutting this one. And it's much, like I say, much easier. If you come across a seed, just get rid of that one. I'm going to cut these ones into long lengths. There, can you see what I'm doing there? With my bridge, cut them into long lengths. Bridging, again, cutting into long lengths there. Each time, cutting through the flesh, not the skin. So it's easier and quicker to do it. There we go, cutting through. Into nice long lengths. I can make them smaller if I want to, but can you see there? I've now got a long length of pepper ready to start to use. We'll do the same on the other pepper. So here we go. I'm just going to use my bridge, cutting through the middle, using my thumb and forefinger to hold the vegetable in place. Now I've got my long lengths of pepper. I'll pile those up over there. Just going to carry on. For the camera there, you can see, cutting through. So I've now got my long lengths of pepper. You see those ones? Long length of pepper. Now, next thing we're going to do after a bridge is going to be a thumb right back, fingers over the top, claw. So I'm going to get my lengths. Here's my length of pepper. And again, you're cutting into the fleshy side, not the skin side, because it will slide around a bit too much. I'm now going to use my claw and I'm going to chop this into even cuboids, otherwise known as dice. And we said, whether it's big or small, we call that macédoine or brunoise. When we get to GCSE and we move forward and we start looking at accurate cutting, it's one of your key skills here. The GCSE, I'm just cutting those up accurately into nice dice pieces ready to start cooking. I'm going to be, just for quickness there, I'm going to do a few at the same time here. Do a couple at the same time. Just chopping those up. A nice pile over there. Again, we're just going to go through all of these pepper because we want to get all of that lovely vitamin C, which is great for our overall body health or immunity. Remember to keep that thumb right back when you do it. And each time I'm doing it, when I do my bridge, I'm moving my hand back a little bit more each time I'm doing it. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm just easing my fingers back. My thumb stays behind as I start to chop that one back. And I'm just pushing that into a pile, ready to go for my cooking. There we go. Next ones, let's do all of these lengths together. So like I say, 80 grams is about one portion of fruit and vegetable that you should be having a day. It doesn't matter if the vegetable is frozen or whether it's fresh. In fact, frozen ones actually often lock in the vitamins fresh from being picked. So often find that frozen ones, especially if they've frozen vegetables that have been frozen within sort of 24 hours of being in a field, will lock in more of those nutrients, more of that vitamin C than a fresh one. Well, that will be depleted of its vitamins the longer it's left in a shop. So actually, it doesn't matter if it's canned, frozen, or fresh, still one of your 5 a day. I'm not going to say a handful is about as much for each one. You notice these are all in handfuls. You've got about handfuls of pepper there, a handful of onion there, and that's about the same. Now, that ham's are obviously going to get bigger as you get older, so will the amount of the vegetables that you'll be eating as well. So let's just put these ones into a little bowl. So I've got a bowl here, which I'm going to put all my peppers into. Let's put all those peppers into one bowl. Here we go. Lovely colours. Now you could use a variety if you wanted to mix them. There was my peppers in there. I'm now going to get the onions and garlic to take over to cook with. Here's my onion and garlic. Let's get that in together as well. Be careful not to get that onto the floor. Got my dog here in the kitchen, and onion obviously is not good for dogs. So we've got tomato, we've got onion and garlic, nicely diced and chopped, ready to go. We're now going to get our onion and garlic fried off with our mince. I'm using, say, a plant-based mince to go today for this one. So here's my plant-based mince, which I'm going to use to go in with these ones. We're going to cook that one off. We're going to be putting the onion and garlic in there. Now, the next ingredient we need to get ready to go into is the next one of our vegetables, and that is our beans. Now, I'd say we're going to be using some kidney beans. I'm going to use mixed Mexican beans here. But you might just have to be using the kidney beans. Thing to remember with this one is we're going to use that colander again, because we need to drain this one before we put this one into it. So let's go back to me. Here we go. There we go. So back to me. We're going to use the next vegetable. So we've got our beautifully diced up peppers. We've got our beautifully diced up onion and garlic. Not crying. No crying. Because we did it properly, we cut it properly and safely. I'm going to use a colander just to drain my wonderful beans. So colander, it's going to go inside a bowl here. I'm just going to drain this like a giant sieve, like we said. Because they often come in water. You might need a can opener, or this one's actually come with wrinkles on the top, so I'm just going to open that one up. Kidney beans are great. I've actually gone with, let's just say we're going with lockdown now, we can get hold of. I've got kidney beans in here, but I've got a mixture in here. Remember, there's kidney beans in here, black turtle beans, we've got haricot beans, pinto beans, so I'm going to be mixing those in here. Just going to pour that into a colander. There we go. Get that water out of there. Fabulous. They're all going to come out. There's a spoon, there's still some in there. There we go, all my beans. Now, they might be a bit stinky. Some people say that they smell a bit like cat food at this stage. And we don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a little bit of water, just some tap water. I'm just going to wash these through. A bit of washing going on here today. Wash the rice, remember? There we go. Just going to wash that through. Just pouring some water, tap water through. My colander. Give them a bit of a shake. Good. That's them all done. Give them a final little tap. We'll put those into another little bowl. Just grab the other bowl from over there. Here we go. Let's grab another bowl for that. So we've got all three items there ready to go. Here we go. There it is. We had another one there. So we've got we've got the beans. We're just going to put the beans into, from our colander, into another bowl. So we've definitely got lots of vegetables going on with this one. But as I say, beans are actually also a really good source of protein, as well as those tiny little vitamins you need and minerals, which is what we call those micronutrients needed in teeny tiny amounts. Okay, so here we have 3 bowls now ready to go. So we've got our 3 bowls. I'll just hold this up to the screen so you can see. We've got the red peppers, we've got our beans, we've got our onion, and we've got our garlic, all ready to go there for our cooking along together. So we're up to this stage now where we can start to get everything fried off. We're going to be stirring in the kidney beans and the tomatoes. Oh yes, more vegetables. So we've now got our vegetables. Our next vegetable. Look at all the vegetables going into this one. We've literally got lots and lots and lots and lots of vegetables. So we need a can opener for this one. So get your canned tomato ready to go as well. Let me just open that one. So you can get yours open to cook along everything together on this one. So the first thing we'll do is we'll do the onion and garlic. Then we'll put the kidney beans and tomatoes and peppers. And you can use green pepper or red pepper. Like I say, I'm going to be using red. I could have used green, just that I had red. Don't often have red. Sometimes I have the green. I just like to think that, we want the beans. They've all got vitamin B and C in them, those water-soluble vitamins, because don't forget, these vegetables, a lot of the vegetables are actually water as well, which is great. Hydration. You stay hydrated as well as having the correct vitamins and minerals. Okay, so I've now got the tomatoes, and we go and get another bowl for the tomatoes. So we got all of those together. Let me grab that one. So we got another one. I'm going to put them all onto a tray. Remember we said to have that tray ready? This is where my tray is really going to come into useful. So I've got my chopped tomatoes in there as well. And let me show you now what we've got on my tray. And I'm going to carry these all over in the tray. I know it's a tray, it says it's got tray on it. So I've got tomatoes. I've got kidney beans. I've got peppers. I've got onions. And all of these together are going to be ready. You can see all those together? There we go. Lots and lots of things to go to take over to our area, over to the kitchen in a minute. Now, as well as that, we're going to have some spices. Now, with the spices we're going to come to are going to be a mixture of spices. We'll come to those in a minute. What we'll do is we'll get these started to cook first, and then we'll do that one. Now, I've got my rice as well. Remember right at the beginning, my rice is also going to go. So I'm going to wash my rice out. I'm going to use my old colander. So let's do that one again now. Let's wash that one even before we get everything prepped. I like to get everything prepped in advance. It's good to get that all prepped in advance. Let's just wash through. Here's my rice. Put the rice in there. Clean that one off. Put some more water. I'm going to just run some tap water through. You do it through a sieve if you wanted to. There we go. Just going to give that one a good shake. And the rice all ready to go. There we go. Give that a good rinse through. There we go. All that rice back in there, ready to start cooking. It's been rinsed. Going to get all of that one ready to cook off in our boiling water. So I'm going to cook the rice in the boiling water. Now, do you remember I said I'm using brown rice? So with brown rice, you're looking at it's going to take about 20-25 minutes to cook. Whereas the white long grain rice is going to take about 15 to 18 minutes. So it's going to take longer to cook, but it's going to contain more fibre. Now, what was this fibre I was talking about? I was talking about Fibre February Challenge. I'm trying to get more fibre into your diets during February, which is a brilliant thing for you to do, to try and take that sort of challenge. Why do we need fibre? Well, we need fibre to keep us going regularly. Okay, it's when we've eaten that wonderful food, we're talking about it coming out the other end, and that's really important. And different sorts of fibre. There's different sorts of fibre. There's a fibre soluble or insoluble, which we come into GCSE, and they either slow things down or keep things going faster, stop us getting blocked up, and also stop us getting too runny. So we need the right sort of fibre. So it's a balance of soluble and insoluble. It's a balance about slowing things down and speeding things up. And our body needs that right amount of fibre so that it's continually doing the right sort of thing. So it's coming out the other end properly as well. So fibre, important. I'm going to now got this with my vegetables. I'm going to go over to the kitchen. So I'm going to move it around now. Move it over here now, and we're going to move over. So let's move to the kitchen. I'm going to move the cameras around so you can see what I'm doing. Let's move that camera around there for you, and I'm just going to move this one around as well so you can see what we're doing. And I'm going to move this camera around so you can all see what we're doing on YouTube as well. Let's move that one around for you as well so you can all see. There we go. There's my kitchen, and we're just going to zoom in so you can see exactly what we're doing on YouTube as I start to move forward. There we go. So that's my kitchen there. We're going to be on the hob there. I'm going to just move this one around as well so you can see exactly what's going on. That's school as well. Hopefully you can see that one. Yes, you can see in the kitchen there. Perfect. Right, so let's start to cook. Oh, a bit squiffy. There we go. Right, my tray. Let's go over and do some cooking. Fabulous. Come with me. Oh, my mince as well. Got my tray of all my prepped ingredients. And let's start to cook this all off. So welcome to my kitchen. We're all going to cook together. Now, like I say, it's always good to have a tray to carry all your ingredients, to get all your ingredients prepped on. Make sure you can all see me there. You can. Fabulous. You can move that one over there so you can. Good. So I'm at the kitchen here. Now, things to remember when you're cooking. Pan handles. I've got pan handles here. Pointing there, so I've got a big frying pan I'm going to use in. I'm going to make sure that frying pan handle is out to the side. I've got a saucepan for my rice. I'm going to make sure the pan handle again is out to the side. Not sticking out, because if it's sticking out, oh, it could go everywhere. So make sure your pan handles are off to the side. Now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our rice on, because that's going to take us, let's say, 20 to 25 minutes to cook our rice. So I've got some boiling water. Catherine's just boiling over there. I'm going to get a pan, boiling water in there, then I'm going to put my rice in. Now I'm also going to get my frying pan ready for my onion and garlic. So, gas is on. We're on a medium heat. Gas is on. You can put a little bit of oil in there. You can use a little bit of olive oil. Or you can use these, which is like a spray oil, less fat in them. Just to spray that on the pan. So either. You want an unprocessed oil really, so like a rapeseed oil or an olive oil would be good for these. Into the pan. That's going to have our onion and garlic in. So I'm just waiting for that to heat up a little bit. You feel that getting warm. Medium heat there is what we're looking for. Good. Kettle boils. So I'm going to put the kettle, water into saucepan. Half in there. Good. We get the rice that we've rinsed into the pan of the water. There it all goes. We'll just get all of that in there. We'll wash our hands, that's good. Okay, rice in the boiling water. Just to make that a bit quicker, just going to put and more efficiently, saving energy, I'm going to put a lid on that one as well. Okay, pan, you can see that the oil has disappeared, ready to go with that. But you're in control of the heat at all times. So if you think things are getting too hot, just take the pan off the heat. That's fine. Okay, so we're just going to take that off. We're going to put our onion and our garlic in there first. So there's my onion and garlic. In that goes, into the pan. You can hear that sizzling away. Fabulous. That's the onion and garlic sorted. Now, after the onion and garlic, you can just give it a quick stir around. A wooden spatula. So a non-stick pan. So I'm just going to use a wooden spatula there. Just turn it on around. Get it move around the pan. You want to soften that off. So just get the onion and garlic softening off there nicely. Beautiful. So that's just softening off nicely. My rice is over there with the lid on. It's just cooking away on a medium heat again. There, we just turn that one up around a bit. There we go. So I've got medium heat. And keep an eye on my rice because I don't want that to boil over with the lid on there. So just keep an eye on that one. And while I'm also keeping an eye on my onion and my garlic. So there's my onion and garlic. You can just see there on the pan there. Onion and garlic just softening off there nicely. Okay. Now what I'm going to do now with my onion and garlic, it's softened off nicely. They're starting to turn translucent, which means starting to get see-through, a bit like tracing paper. So with that, I'm now going to be putting into my mince. Now, so I'm going to be using a plant-based mince, but you could have also have used. There we go. You could also have used some steak mince if you wanted to. If you've got your own different sorts of mince there, use a steak mince instead. And we're going to get that one in there. Are you using, which powder are you using for the con carne? So for the con carne, I'm going to be using a plant-based mince for this one. How much? 250 grams. Okay, so 250 grams of this one, which for this one is half a packet. So I'm putting half a packet of this into my pan now. Turn it down. So I'm just pouring my mince in now. So 250 grams of mince into there. And I'm using a plant-based one, so rather than chili con carne, this will be chili son carne. That means without the meat in this one, but you could use meat or non-meat. So in that goes. That's my 250 grams in there. Okay. Any more questions? We've got some more questions coming up. Okay, for the con carne, yep, that's good. Well done, thank you, NRG. So we're also going to be getting our onions and garlic in there. That's one of our fruit and veg in there. We've got ready to go in there now. We've also got our peppers, our tomatoes, and our beans there. Our kidney beans to go into this one, into our lovely mix as well. All right, use a wooden spoon there. Let's stir this one through. Just mix up the onion, the garlic, and the meat there. Okay, that's all sizzling away nicely. Beautiful. Now, obviously, the rice is going to take longer because that's that brown rice that we're using for this one. So that's going to take a little bit longer to cook, but the mince is going to take a little bit less time to cook than a traditional beef mince. Now, with the beef mince, you'd also need to just check that you have got you're getting it to the correct temperature. So from a health and safety point of view, it's always used to use a temperature probe with these sort of things and get them up to the good temperature. And the temperature for this is 75 degrees or above is always a good. I mean, you can get something like the 75 degrees is what we say in school. If you get 75 degrees or above, the core part, that's the largest part of the meat, then you know that meat is cooked properly. We don't need to worry so much about this because we're using a plant-based mince today, like a plant-based alternative to the mince, which is based on a protein from mushrooms, this one. Okay, so we're just stirring this one together. That's going up nicely. Check my rice. That's bubbling away nicely. I'm going to just turn that down a little bit. I'm going to remove the lid now. Let's go up to temperature. So my rice is going there. My meat's going perfectly. That's all cooking off nicely. So now I've got my mince in there. It's now time to start adding the other ingredients. So I'm going to put in there my tomatoes, my kidney beans, and then my peppers. So in goes the tomatoes. There's all the tomatoes in there. From that 400 grams of tomato can, in the chopped tomato goes. Then we got, from again, 400 gram tin of beans. In go my beans next. In they go. And then finally, we're going to be putting into there our chopped peppers. In go the chopped peppers into there as well. Fabulous. Going to stir all that through, and then we'll work on our spices. So I'm just going to stir all of that lovely through. That is beautiful. It's looking wonderful. There we go. Beautiful colours. If you can see there, I'm just going to show you the camera there. You see that beautiful colours there we've got there with the mix of tomatoes, the peppers, the beans, all of that on there is looking wonderful. I'm going to turn it down a little bit now and let this stew off together. Okay, so that's all of my ingredients in there, ready to go, with the exception of my flavourings and my spices. So we're going to work on our flavourings and our spices to go into this now. And we're going to let that stew. Okay, so we're going to let that stew off now. So let's get back to the work area and let's come back to me. There we go. Let me just zoom out a minute. And we'll go back to the recipe. There we go. Alrighty, hopefully you're now at the same point as I am, and we will get everybody for our chili con carne. I'm just going to put some more. Just going to get some more ingredients just ready. Our spices and our chili. Going to get some more of these chilies to go in. Okay, back to me then. So, spices. Let's work on our spices now. We're going to be making this taste amazing. So while that's stewing, just turn it to a medium heat. Just let that stew away down there. We're now going to move on to our different spices, how we're going to flavour this one. So we've got a few different spices that are going to go into this one, including that fresh chili we talked about earlier. But please be careful with chili because it can hurt you. Okay. The heat of that can really sting your eyes and hurt you, so just be careful of that. So let's go through it together. The first one we're going to need is some dried coriander. So here is my dried coriander, and we're going to need for this one half a teaspoon of dried coriander. So we use the small spoons here, and we're going to put that in there. Remember, if you've got coriander seeds, you could use that and crush those ones up. I'm just going to use half a teaspoon in. Let's put half a teaspoon There we go. Half a teaspoon into my spices. So we've got all the spices. Put in this, the lovely, you can see there on that lovely spicy colours then. Now in with that half a teaspoon, we're going to be putting 1 teaspoon of ground cumin. Now again, you can either grind it yourself. You've got some cumin seeds. Where do my cumin seeds gone? So you've got some cumin seeds and coriander seeds. You can grind these ones yourselves, or like we've got here is we've got it in a jar crushed up. So we're going to go with the cumin. So for the cumin, 1 teaspoon of the cumin. Let's put that one in there as well. So teaspoon, remember that's the small one. So 1 teaspoon of the cumin, in that goes as well. Now, chilies. So we've got the chilies before we get to the chocolate. Now remember with the chilies are hot if you're using the fresh ones. So please be careful. If you're chopping up one of these, you chop it up small, and then once you chopped it up, a bit like we did with the garlic, you need to wash your hands afterwards, okay? Because I do not want you touching your eyes or your nose or anything else after you touch that one, because it's going to sting, it's going to burn, okay? So please be careful. Or alternatively, you can use it. You can use sort of these ones, which are just different ones here. I've got a medium and a hot there of some chili flakes and crushed chilies there. So you can go with something that's a little bit less hot if you want to, whichever one you want to do. So if you like it hot, maybe you're going to go with some fresh chili in this one. Maybe if you like it a bit cooler, you maybe go with some medium or some low of the heat ones of the dried chilies. It's entirely up to you. I'm going to go with fresh because we like fresh, but I'm going to be very careful with this one. So I'm going to use my knife, same as we did for the garlic. And when it's like a mini pepper. You can imagine like a mini pepper. So we're going to need to do some little cuts down it in tiny little bits into there. So I'm just going to show you that one on the camera while that stews off there nicely. Let me move the cameras down. And so you can see, here we go. So there's my chili on my board there. You can see that one on the board there. I'll just move the camera down so you can see yours. So you might just be using some dried chilies. So it's teeny tiny like pepper. It's a teeny tiny one. But like I say, you can either use, if you use your fingers and make teeny little bridges and teeny little claws, or if you wanted to, you could actually use a fork if you wanted to. Remember, like I said before, it's so small. So we could do tiny little cuts. And we're just going to cut that one. Teeny tiny small little cuts. And we're just going to cut that one up teeny tiny small. And this also means that we're not having to touch it so much as well. There we go. So we're just going to chop that one up tiny small, and we're going to put some of this pepper into here, this fresh pepper. Take some of those seeds out. Put one of those ones in there, we're going to use the skin. I'm going to put that tiny ones into our spices. There we go. And the spices, there's chili's going to go in there. So we've got a chili in there as well now. Can you see there's chili, tiny little bits of chili in there? Put some more little bits of chili in there. I like mine hot. So I've got my tiny bits of chili in there, my chili con carne. Like I said, I could, if I wanted to, just use some chili flakes. So you could just put some chili flakes in there. And we'll just top this one up with a little bit of chili flakes as well. Got sprinkling of chili flakes in there. Okay, so we've got some chili flakes in there as well. Okay, so back to me. So we've got now our vegetables in there. We've got lots of nice cooking board. Thank you very much. So we've got our seasoning in there now as well. So if you can just have a look on the board there. So we've gone from, this is now stewing off. We've gone to our seasoning on step number 7. And what we're now going to move into is we're going to add that seasoning to it. So it's half a teaspoon of dried coriander, 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 to 3 teaspoons of chili. As you say, we can use fresh, or we've used a mixture of fresh and ground dried chili. Then it says 2 or 3 blocks of dark chocolate. So I've got my chocolate here. Remember, I'm thinking about allergies and tolerances here. So this says this chocolate is a dairy-free, sugar-free. I think it says we've got 1% sugar. This one, just under 1%. Palm oil-free, gluten-free, soy-free chocolate.
There we go. And I'm going to be putting in there, it says 2 or 3 blocks. So in we go. That's a block. I consider that a block of chocolate. In the chocolate goes. We're going to put another block of chocolate in there. 2 or 3 blocks. And again, it might seem really odd to put chocolate into a savoury dish, but trust me, it gives it a really, really smooth, beautiful taste to it. So I've got my chocolate. I've just crushed up my chocolate. There's my chocolate in there with my spices. That's all going to go into my stew to season my stew. It'll also thicken it a little bit. I'm going to be putting some gravy or stock now. So I've got some, you can either use some like gravy granules if you wanted to, or what you can do and mix that up with a little jug of warm water. So I've got some warm water in here. So I'm going to just put that one in with some gravy. Now, I could do that, or I could use some stock cubes. So in fact, what I'm going to do, this is a meat-free gravy anyway, but I might just put a stock in there. I can ground up a stock. So we just put half a stock in there with some 250 ml of warm to hot boiling. So just off the boil, it shouldn't be too hot. Mix that one up with your water, and we're going to put that one in there to thicken up our sauce as well. So we've got stock or gravy, whichever you've got in there. Think about lockdown here, so whatever you've got available. So stock or gravy into there with about 200, it says there 200 ml of water, 250 ml of water would be good, warm water in there. I've got my spices and my chocolates ready to go into that. I'm going to take that over there. It says there, add the rice to the boiling water. So it says 12 minutes. Now that 12 minutes, when it talks about 12 minutes, someone's asking about that. That was for the white rice. So this is the white rice that we've got on the recipe there. But because we're thinking of Fibre February. Remember, we are using brown rice today, so that's going to take longer. That's going to take nearly half an hour to do. So we're going to be going with that one, so it's longer. So we put the rice in already on that front into our boiling water. Okay, time to add our seasoning. So I'm going to just move the cameras around my kitchen so you can see where we're up to now, and have a look at this one. So we're just going to move the cameras around. So let's just move those cameras around so you can see where we're up to. Move that one. My dinner there in the slow cooker, ready for later. A nice bit of pork in there. And there we go. So let's go through, move the cameras around so you can see there. To the kitchen. Okay. So what we've got going on, let's move myself back over to here so you can see where we're up to. We're back over to my pan. That's boiling away lovely. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to add more water to that one. So, first thing is our spices and our chocolate. So I'm going to get those ones into our pan. The pan is smelling lovely already. So I can just show you that on the cameras there. That's what the chili con carne is looking like already. Steaming away inside there. Tomatoes in there. Everything's in there. Now, I'm going to put my chocolate in there. So in goes my little bath of chocolate. Just spray those up. In the chocolate goes. That's going to give it some gloss. It's going to give it depth of flavour to it. Give it a lovely shine to it. Okay, so in goes the dark chocolate. This is 75% dark chocolate. Remember there? In that goes. That's going to melt off in there. Great way of using up any of that chocolate left over from Christmas. If you've still got any left over, let's get that one in. In that goes. Chocolate is in. Now, my spices. So I've got my chili, my cumin, my corianders in there. In that goes as well. Let's stir all of that through. And that is just thickening off there. My rice is doing well over there. Let's give my rice a quick stir. Wonderful. Rice is nearly done as well. And then we've got I've got my stock. So I'm going to pour my stock in now. It could be a stock and boiling water, 250 ml. So it could be veggie stock in there, stock cube crumbled in. It could be some gravy in there, depending on what you've got. I'm just going to add that to my pan. In that goes. All of that stock down. A little bit stuck in the bottom there. You can get stocks now which are like a liquid gel stock. That would work fine as well. We'll turn that one up now.
Just bring that one back up to the boil and then turn it down to a simmer afterwards. Good news. Right. Fabulous. That's looking great. I think it's about time that we move back to me and we move back to looking at the next stage of our recipe. Here we go. Let's go back. And we're going to look at making the tacos while we leave that to stew now. So leave it for about 15 minutes, 12, 15 minutes now to stew off nicely. And while we're doing that, so we zoom out a bit. There we go. While we do that, we need to move on to the next part of today's lesson, which is making some quick tacos. So if you can see on the board there, it's chili con carne with tacos. Da, 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 da. So we're going to make you some soft tacos, some real simple breads to go with this one. Oh, look, just found a bit of chocolate there. Oh, that's good. Tacos. Let's do tacos. Let's go on to the next slide. Who's not going to chocolate? Okay, floury tortilla shell tacos. You can see it on the board there. Okay, so we got some taco shells down there. We're going to need to get our ingredients ready for this one. I mean, it's a nice quick recipe to do while our stew, our reduction sauce is going ahead over there for our chili con carne. So we're going to make a very quick bread. What we're going to need for this one, we're going to need some flour. So I'm going to put 200 grams of flour, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking powder. It's a quick one. It's not a bread that's going to be yeast to use to grow, to make it rise up. We're going to use a baking powder with this one. So it can be a really quick recipe for this one. So I've got my bowl here, ready to do it. I've got my scales there. There we go, scales. And we're going to now measure out and make ourselves a little quick bread while that is all stewing on nicely. So the first one we're going to do is some 200 grams. Now, for, like I said there, Kitty, for added fiber, for Fiber February, hashtag Fiber February, more fiber into your body, we can use a wholemeal flour. So we're going to try with this one with a wholemeal flour, okay? And we're going to use 200 grams of this one. So we're going to use a wholemeal flour, this one. And we're going to be putting in here 200 grams. So what is 200 grams? Let's measure this out together so you know. In case you haven't got scales at home, we'll need to know how to put this one together. So let's do this one together. We're going to be doing it in spoonfuls, so large spoonfuls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Should be it. Yes, it is. Look at that. 8. Spot on 8. So we've now got our flour in there, ready to go. Now, in with the flour, we are going to be putting in there some other dry ingredients. So we're going to put a little bit of salt in there, half a teaspoon of salt. There we go. Half a teaspoon of salt in there. We're going to put in some baking powder. Boom, 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 boom. If you haven't got baking powder, you can always make your own baking powder. So baking powder, we have got some baking powder here. But if you haven't got baking powder, you can make your own if you've got bicarbonate of soda, alkali. Here we are, look. Magic. Alkali. So you need an alkali, bicarbonate of soda, by magic. And you need an acid. So an acid, we've got some acid here. Ta-da! And that is cream of tartar. And you'll find then that that makes, as if by magic, acid and alkali together. Acid and alkali together is baking powder. There we go. So baking powder is what we need, a bit of acid and alkali in there, and that's going to be our raising agent. Because when acid and alkali react, what happens is they not only neutralize and create salts, they create bubbles that are going to fizz, effervescence, that are going to make our bread rise a little bit as well on there. So we've got a little bit of that in there. We've got half teaspoon, teaspoon of baking powder into that. There we go. Teaspoon baking powder, in it goes. Boom. Next, in with this one, we're now going to rub in a little bit of butter before we add some water. So we go and get the butter out of the fridge for you. I'm just going to grab that one. How much butter are you going to need? Well, very simply with this one, you're going to need about a teaspoon's amount of butter. Not a great deal in this one, but you are going to need to get yourself 85 millilitres of water. So this is that one. And we get my jug here for you, and the butter out of the fridge. So I'm just going to get my butter out of the fridge. You can use this opportunity to get your butter out of the fridge as well.
I'm just going to check on my rice while I'm over here. So I'm just going to turn down my rice a little bit and turn down my Chilli Con Carne, which is looking absolutely beautiful. Thickening up beautifully. So water. We're looking for 85 millilitres of water. So if you're there, 85 millilitres of water and the butter. Now I'm using a plant-based butter, but you could use a dairy butter as well. It doesn't matter either. So I've got my 85 millilitres of water. There we are, water there. I've got my plant-based butter. I'm using a plant-based one, but you can use dairy butter if you wanted to. That's fine, but we're just going to try and think about this one as a plant-based today. We're putting in 1 teaspoon's worth. That's a small spoon of the butter. In that goes. We're going to rub it in and cut it in. So I'm just going to use a rounded butter knife here just to cut that butter in and rub that butter in. So in that goes. A little bit of butter in there, chopped up nicely. What I'm doing is I'm just chopping that butter so it's teeny tiny small in there. Then once I've done that, I'm just going to rub that butter in with my fingertips. So lifting and tickling, as you can see there. Just lifting and tickling. And each time I lift and tickle, I'm just rubbing that butter in. If you want to see if the butter's all rubbed in, just give your bowl a little tap on your work surface. And all the big bits come to the top. And then you can just lift and tickle again, lift and tickle, rub that together nicely. Here we go, nearly all rubbed together until that butter completely disappears inside there. So we've just got that butter fat has just completely disappeared inside there. Like I say, if you haven't got butter, you can use, what else could you use instead of butter? We can use a bit of oil in there instead if you wanted to. So you put a bit of rapeseed oil or olive oil into that one again. You could use instead of the butter, but I've gone with a plant-based butter fat into that one. Fabulous. Okay, it's a nice vegan one for there. So that's all mixed in. Now we're going to put in 85 millilitres. Now that would be 85 millilitres with a plain flour. But we're not using a plain flour, we're using a wholemeal flour. So this is going to take a little bit more into this one because the wholemeal absorbs more water. So I'm just going to pour that water in. In it goes. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stir that together with a butter knife. Okay, so I've got my butter knife. I used to put the butter in there. I'm going to stir that together into a dough. Okay, here we go. It's just stirring it in together nicely. Now, I can say mine's not going to quite come together into a dough ball because I may use wholemeal flour rather than plain flour because I'm thinking of hashtag Fibre February. Okay, so I'm thinking a bit more fibre in there. So a bit more wholemeal in there. I'm going to need a little bit more water. So I'm just going to grab a little bit more water over there to go into it. Then we're going to roll it out into balls to make our breads. Okay, here we go. A little bit more water going into this one. Always gradually add your water. You can always take the water away, but you can't. So you can always add more water. You can't take it away. So gradually add that one in till it comes together into a big dough ball. So you can see that one on the ball. Camera there, that's just coming together into a large ball. Just a bit more into there until we've got a large ball there. There we go. And that's nearly come together into a large dough ball there. Hopefully yours will come together into a dough ball too. Can I see any pictures on the screen? Do you want to get your cameras up so we can have a look at what your doughs are looking like? We can just have a quick check for those ones that are in school. If you want to show me your camera, you don't have to. And you can show me what your dough ball looks like. It's my dough ball. We got a dough ball of water with it there. Fab. You can see a dough ball. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, perfect. So now get some flour on your work surface. I'm going to roll these ones into little balls. So we just get some little bit of flour on your work surface now. Again, I'm using a bit of wholemeal flour there. A bit of flour on it. It's snowing, isn't it? Not actually snowing in Devon. Not snow. Hardly ever snows down here. I'm totally going to make the covers like that for my chemical racing agents. Thank you, Mr. Griffiths. Good snap for the chocolate as well. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just reading some of the comments online while I do what I'm doing now, which is the kneading process. So what I'm doing is I'm using the palm of my hand, the heel of the palm of my hand, this part here, and I'm pushing into my bread and then pulling it back together. Pushing it in and pulling back. I'm going to just knead this one together. Now, not a tremendous amount of kneading because we've got a raising agent in there working. We have to race against that raising agent that's working. So we're just going to knead this one very lightly. Let me move the camera so you can see what I'm doing down here. So you can actually see, here we go. What I'm doing is I'm just kneading this one together. It's move those ones out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. So I'm just kneading this one, pushing this one against the board into a big dough ball. Can you see there? There we go. You see at school? We've got both cameras down now. There we go. I'm just kneading this one together very lightly. And then so we kneaded this one together. There we are. It's all shaped together very nicely. Happy with that one. We got a dough ball there. Quick bread dough ball. Quick bread because it's got a baking powder in there. Otherwise known as a soda bread because it's got baking soda in it. What we're going to do now is we're going to divide these into 6 equal sizes. Okay. So how are we going to do this one? I like to roll it into a sausage first. Find it a little bit easier. A nice even sausage. There we go. Nice even sausage. I'm going to divide that into 6 equal pieces. We go back to, I'm going to use my sharp knife for this one. Okay, so here we go. Sharp knife. I'm going to just divide that off into 6 equal sections. Bridge. There we go. Bridge. Bridge. All right. Roll these ones into balls. There we go. And roll that one into ball. There we go. Rolling them all into balls now. And once we've rolled them into balls, what we're going to do is we're going to roll out those balls with a rolling pin, or you could use a milk bottle or a cordial bottle if you haven't got one of those. Or, and again, nice little life hack here. Some greaseproof paper. Use that as a rolling pin. It's not going to stick either. You don't have to flour it. If you're using a rolling pin, you want to get some flour on your rolling pin. There we go. Flour on the side. We're going to roll these out into pancakes. Okay, so like wholemeal tortillas or pancakes. There we go. Taco type things. Sorry, the tacos rather. So we're going to make them like tacos or flatbreads. There we go. And very thin. Fabulous. Happy with those. Little tacos there. Then once you've done that, stack them up with a piece of greaseproof paper. So we go back to that greaseproof paper. We're going to stack them up. Lay them flat down between that one. And we're going to go do another one. And we're going to put another one on top of that one. So let's make some more pancakes, some more of these tacos. Okay, in they go. And traditionally, like I say, these would be made from a maize starch. So different sort of cereal. Instead of wheat, we're using wheat flour here. But if you think corn flour or a maize flour, if you could get hold of that, that would be perfect. Traditionally, that's what these would be made of. And they'd often be soft. So they'd be cooked off soft, like, so they're a bit more flimsy. We're going to give them a quick fry, and then we're actually going to bake them so that they're more like, and we're going to bake them over the oven shelves so they form into a hardened one, more like a US, what they find in the US when they're making a hard tacos. So that's what we're going to do today to serve with our wonderful chili con carne and rice. And don't forget, we've gone with we've got brown rice there. It's got more fiber in there. We've gone with a wholemeal, whole grain tacos, more fiber for hashtag Fiber February. And we just keep stacking these ones up between layers of greaseproof paper. I'm going to do one more, and then we're going to go straight on to cooking these because I can see we're running out of time now. We've got the last 10 minutes or so of the lesson, and I want to make sure we've got rice, chili con carne, and a few tacos ready for you to go before we start. Now I'm going to take these ones over to a frying pan now. Let's go back to me. Quick frying pan, we're going to go with that. So if you have a look at the recipe there behind me, you can see that we've got the tacos rolled out. We place them stack them in circles between small sheets of greaseproof paper. We're going to put them in the pan on a high heat. We're going to cook for a couple of minutes on both sides. Just flip them over a bit like you would do pancakes. Not so long ago since it was pancake day. We're going to flip them over on both sides there. Once we've flipped them over on both sides, we're going to put them into a preheated oven. Okay, and we're going to bake them for about 5 minutes, or eight minutes it says there, but 5 minutes until they start to harden. And we're going to just put them over the shells. You can see on the picture there, what I've done is I've baked them in the pan, and then I put them, lightly brush them with a bit of oil, and then I'm going to be putting them on 2 bars of the oven. So I'm actually going to put them on 2 bars of the oven. I need to preheat my oven. Now this is going to be tricky, so I'm going to need to use oven gloves. Okay, so you will need to use oven gloves for this one, and you might want to get a grown-up to help you with this next couple of bits because it is going to be tricky otherwise. So what we're going to do is make these wonderful tacos, which are in my greaseproof paper. They can see them stacked up. I'm going to take them over to the frying pan. We're going to lightly fry them on both sides. We're going to be putting them into a preheated oven over 2 shelves and make our hard ones. I was on the rating agents to tier 10s and noticed you were live as well. So joined in. Really good to see that. That's not a problem. Thank you very much. Yes, we do it live, but they're also pre-recorded at the same time. So instantly after this is going to be available for you at Talkie Girls Grammar School. They're available instantly on Teams, so you can watch back. And for all the rest of you who are watching on YouTube, they'll be available straight after the show, not after the show, after class on YouTube as well, so you can watch back. Right, last one. We're going to be flipping back around to my kitchen for the last time because we're going to do some flipping of our tacos. So we're just going to move one last time back over to my kitchen. Let me just zoom in there so you can see what we're doing. There we go. Not on the KitchenAid. We're going to be using that today. There we go. We're going to go moving over to the side and move that one there so you can see the kitchen as well. And we're going to come back over for the last time. We're going to have a check how everything's doing. And we're going to start to plate all this up. Okay, so back over here. While we're coming over, oh, that chili con carne is looking amazing. That's beautiful. Oh, it looks lovely. I love it. I love it. I'm just stirring all this through. There we go. That's looking nice. I'm going to show you the camera. Here we go. I'm going to show you the camera. This looks absolutely beautiful. This is the chili con carne in there. That is smelling lovely. It's glossy from the chocolate on there. It's beautiful, 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 beautiful. So you can hopefully all see that there. That's the chili con carne. Done. So we've got that all done. We've got the rice. Brown rice. Done. Ready for serving up. We're just going to make our tacos last a little bit. Okay, so what we'll do now is we'll switch all the heat off for those two. We'll put the pan lid on. Keep that all warm. There's enough heat now inside there to keep that warm as well. Smells gorgeous. Love it. Right, so that's my chili con carne and rice done. Tacos last. I think we're going to grab another frying pan. Do you know what? I'm going to use my pancake pan, I think. So we're going to put this one on the heat. Turn that on to the maximum heat. High heat on this one. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put these ones into there with a high heat. How am I going to know if it's high enough? Well, same as when you're making the pancakes. What I like to do is if you get a little bit of water in a bowl, to know whether it's hot enough, just get a little bit of water in your fingers and just put it onto the pan. If it starts to sizzle and pop, you know you're ready. That's not sizzling and popping. That does give me a great opportunity now just to preheat my oven up to 180 though. There we go. Ready for putting my tacos in. Okay. Now, like I say, I'm going to put my tacos over the top of the oven shelf. So let me just get my oven gloves out. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use the oven shelf and I'm going to be putting them over 2 rings of that and letting them flop down in either side and cooking them off on there. Okay, so let's just make sure we've got enough space in the oven for that to happen. Yes, we have. They're ready to go. Preheated the oven. That's ready to go. Let's check the temperature. That's good. That's splashing away in there. I think we're at the right temperature. Let's get my little tacos. Here we go. In they go. On they go. Just going to give that a bit of a move around on there. Bet you would do some pancakes. Remember, you're in charge of the heat. The heat is not in charge of you. So if it's too hot, just take it off the heat, reduce the heat, that's fine. Notice that I've got all my pan handles facing away from the heat here. So my pan handles are all facing away. There's no chance of me knocking it into them. We don't want that to happen because that's health and safety. Otherwise, you might end up hurting yourself. So just keep that on high heat. That's doing nicely. Just going to check on the other side. Let's have a look. Is that browning nicely? It's browning nicely on both sides there. Well, on one side, we're going to flip it over, do the other side, and we'll be done. Now, while I'm just waiting for this to cook off, things to remember. Obviously, don't forget to clean up afterwards. So, top tips for cleaning up while we're doing this one. You're going to be finishing off in a minute and you're going to be cleaning down your work surfaces. And when you're washing up your knives, remember, when you're using a knife, you put it into the sink, you don't want to actually be letting go when you go to the sink to clean it. So you want to hold on to that knife, use a brush to brush away. Don't be tempted to use a cloth or a dishcloth or a sponge to do it, because you might cut your hands. Once you finish washing it, put it on the draining board, on the back of the draining board, or whatever you've got there. So you put it at the very back, so it's not like to fall, and let it drain. Okay, and then you can start with everything else. Now you've got lots of bowls we're using today and saucepans. When you're doing that, and you're washing up, So you need to use the hot soapy water, hot as you can. Lots of detergent or washing up liquid in there. Get that hot. Don't overstack the bowls because they might slide up and then you're going to hurt yourself. So just be careful there when you're washing up as well. Final thing, when it comes to your work surfaces, you've been using flour and water on your work surface. Do not go and put soap and water in to clean down your work surface. Scrape down as much of the flour as you can off your work surface before you start adding any soap to it, because otherwise what's going to happen is you're going to end up with a really glutinous mess. You're going to have lots of sticky sticky bread flour all over your work surface. It's going to be hard to get off. So when it comes to your work surface, once you've washed everything else up, go back to your work surface, scrape down as much of that flour first, put it into a bowl I tend to do, put it into your bin, then go with your hot soapy water on your work surface. Otherwise it's going to be a nightmare to do. Right, while I was talking, that's now done on one side. It's just browning up on the other. Very lightly browning. We're then going to just shape it over there onto the oven. Okay. I think we're nearly done. I'll just show you what that looks like on the camera, and then you can see we can just shape that one over. Perfect. Right. Let's turn the heat down there, just for the camera there. You can see what we've got there. That is my wonderful piece of flatbread there, my taco, and that's ready to go. And what I'm going to do now is that taco it's just very slightly brown. I'll just show you what that looks like on the pan there. You see that's just very lightly browned around the outside. Get a grown-up to help you with this bit because it can get quite hot. So what I'm going to do now, in fact, I'm going to use an oven glove myself. Here we go. So I've got my oven glove. I'm going to take my taco out of the frying pan and into the oven, which seems a bit odd. What I'm going to now do is I'm going to pull my oven trays out, and I'm going to actually put this one down between the oven trays. So I'm going to actually bend it. Excuse me, oven gloves, both oven gloves here. Here we go. I'm going to bend it and put it down between it. There we go. Just going to bend it over while it's still soft. Put it down between two of the rings, two of the shelf bars. Put that into the oven. And what that's going to do is it's going to bake into that kind of hardened taco shell shape. Okay, so it's going to bake into there. It's going to take about 3 minutes to do there. It should take us right up to the end of our lesson. Okay, we'll put another one in while we wait there. We'll put another one of those into the pan. That goes onto the hot heat, just to lightly cook that one either side. Flip it over if you want to. You can use if you don't fancy flipping it, I've just got to move it around. Remember, you're in charge of the heat. While we wait for that, I'm going to plate up. So we've got a plate here. Final thing, I'm going to put some rice on there first. So let's get some rice out. Here we go. What I like to do when I'm plating up with rice, get a nice little ramekin. It's quite nice. Fill up the ramekin, tip it over. We're going to go with that. So. Okay, here we go. There is my rice in a ramekin. Going to take that out on my plate. It's just like sandcastle, this, isn't it? Rice on a plate. Fabulous. Let's get, and don't forget, we're using brown rice, more fibre. 5 of February challenge. Take the 5 of February challenge. So flip this one over. Hey, flip. And I'm going to come over to my Chilli Con Carne. There we go. I'll use a smaller spoon for that. Nail it on. 2 spoons. Quenelle, 1 to the other. So that's one off. That's perfect. That's good. That's great. That's that one done. That's that one done. Clean the plate down a little bit. Nearly done, everybody. Nearly done. Oh. Water on there. Okay, we're nearly done. There we've got. Clean the plate down. It's just claps. Oh, wouldn't you credit it? Okay, so we've got Chilli Con Carne on the rice there. That's looking lovely. And we're going to then go with a little taco to go on the side there. Let's get that out of the oven. Put some little bit of garnish on there, a little bit of decorating. Some little herbs on the top. we go, herbs on the top. It's nearly done. Just top that off with a little bit of curly parsley on the top of there. That'd be perfect. On top of that one, the chili con carne, looking good. Taco on the top there. Let's get that one on there. See how that's looking. Out of the oven it comes. Oh yes, here we are. On gloves. Get grown up to help you with this one. It's formed a shape. There we go. Can you see that one? I hope you can see that one on the camera. It's formed a nice little curved shape on there. That's something on the side. I'm going to put some more of my wonderful filling in there. There we go. Taco. We've got a hard crispy taco in there. We've got a little bit of rice there. We've got our lovely top there. Can you see that one? Hopefully you can. And that, everybody, is your chili con carne with taco shells ready to go for your lunch. I hope you've really enjoyed today's lesson. If you have, we would love to know. Put a thumbs up if you're watching this on YouTube. I can see some pictures. Hey, look, I can see it. Still some lovely pictures at home coming in now from those from school, Talkie Girls Grammar School. Beautiful. That's a chili con carne with your taco done there. That's looking amazing. I love it. Well done. If you'd love to see the photos, if you want to send me your photos, all you girls at Talkie Girls Grammar School, can you send me your photos through chat on Teams? Everybody at home, if you're watching this on YouTube, please go to the link that you can on About Us and email in your photos as well. Love to see those. Thank you very much, everybody. It's been great to have you at today's show, today's class, not show, class. Don't forget about cleaning up, all those top tips about cleaning up. Make sure your work areas are now cleaned up properly and tidied up properly. Thank you very much, everybody. It's been great. See you soon.